I want best PR videos. I'm Peter Loshak. It's week 15 in the NFL. We are talking with Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com. Right now, we're going to take a look at the Seattle game. Huge home favorite against Cleveland. Joe Duffy, this is one of those NFL games. You see it all the time. Seattle, obviously awesome, right? Russell Wilson playing phenomenally well. Really, really impressive. And they're going up against a vulnerable team in Cleveland. Cleveland is, they got Manziel back at quarterback and did get a nice win and cover in his first game back, but they had lost 6 in a row before that. They're a team with flaws. They have injuries. Now Brian Hartline is out, so they're kind of thin at wide receiver. Seattle just awesome. The question is 14 and a half or 15 too many points? And then you have to also factor in that their running game took a hit with Rawls going down, and the guy who replaced him last game, Duwan Harris, he was cut, right? He was released. So now they've got, a very iffy situation in the running game. How much does that affect them? I don't know. Maybe if you think that both quarterbacks should be relatively productive here, it is kind of a low total of 43. Maybe that's the way to go, over 43. Interesting game. What's your take on it, Joe?
Well, you nailed quite a few points. And of course, Jimmy Graham, who was a little bit of a disappointment early in the year, he's now completely out for Seattle. So, all in all, look, at first, anytime I see a big point spread, especially big road underdogs, are usually very good plays. Home favorites of 13 and a half or more, just 45.4% going back to 1980, except the home favorites of those big home favorites are actually 5-0 going back to December the 28th of last year. But on the other hand, look, I do think Johnny Manziel gives Cleveland a short-term boost. He gives them some energy. I think he's going to be focused short-term, and he's actually a plus. He's the best quarterback that Cleveland has, as long as his head is on straight, and I think it temporarily is. But because of what you said, both teams minus a bunch of weapons. You said Hartline, and of course, Lynch and Rawls are both going for Seattle. So I think it's a little bit tough as far as the side's concerned, but because there's so many weapons going, I'm going to actually have to disagree. I know it's a low total, but I would probably lean a little bit towards the under, but because of that low total, I'm not exactly in love with it.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily saying that I like the over. I'm just sort of thinking out loud. I mean, Cleveland obviously has that defense that can be, so locked down. And if Cleveland employs a run-heavy, offensive game plan, which is entirely possible, then we probably will see an under. So it's a tough game here, Joe Duffy. We got Seattle minus 14 and a half or 15, and the total 43 or 43 and a half. What would your recommended play here be, or is it going to be a pass for you?
I think I'm going to let you make it because you have a little bit stronger lean.
I have to make the play here, Joe Duffy?
Yeah,
No, I
yes,
understand. You have a professional reputation on the line. I have just a joker's reputation on the line. Man, I don't even know what to think. I mean, the problem is, I guess the main issue, let's just talk about it for just a teeny bit more. How much of an issue is this for Seattle's injuries in the running game? Is that going to affect their offense as a whole? Or is it not going to matter? They're just going to give it to Wilson to pass, and they're going to be even more explosive because they're going to be passing more and put up even more points.
Yeah. And not only that, but Seattle is built when they have that great 1-2 punch, although they haven't really had Lynch, and now Rawls. Lynch has been hurt for a good part of the year, but Seattle is built for protecting the lead, but not so much when I think is some guy named Peter Loshak is their starting running back this weekend, I think. So I don't know if they're going to be able to really protect the lead as well as they have, and they might, but I also think that they'll probably go to the longer snaps. So it is a little bit too much of a crapshoot. Now, I will say this, again, when something's a crapshoot, the bigger the point spread, the more you want to lean towards a dog because it's a high percentage play, because if it's a crapshoot for the handicappers, it's also a crapshoot for the odds makers. So if anything, maybe I'd lean towards the big points, but still, this is, sometimes the uglier games give some pretty angles, but not this one.
All right, with Manziel starting and Russell Wilson playing so well, I'll give a pick on this game over 43. Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com. That's going to be my pick. Joe Duffy, very, very understandably passing on this game as of right now. Joe Duffy, Offshore Insiders is your website. That's where all your plays go every week, where you're not passing at all, where you have an edge that you think is very solid. Tell us about that, Joe.
And I do understand your play where you're coming from. But yeah, we do have a phenomenal college football Saturday up. If you're watching this before Thursday, we got Thursday up. And we've got the NFL Game of the Year for Sunday. We explain why we've got an angle that is never, ever, ever, ever lost. But we got some college stuff. I was, again, quoted in ESPN.com again today. I'm a very well-known handicapper. You got to see our bowl picks. Just visit OffshoreInsiders.com. All the details.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Peter.